Hey students, this is Mr. Brinkmeyer doing a demonstration video on how to use QuickBooks. QuickBooks is a software program that will be used by the finance group and will enable you to keep track of our finances during your time in that particular work group. To get to this page, I would suggest that you go to PowerSchool Learning and go to your specific work group page, and the login information can be found there. You can do that and you can update this software on your own computer. When you log in, it's probably going to send a verification code to me and I will get that to you. So just ask me for that when you get that prompt. So we'll go ahead and log in here and we'll get started. First thing that you're going to see is this dashboard. This dashboard includes all of the links to all the various pages that QuickBooks enables you to access. And while there's a lot of stuff to look at here, we're really only going to use a couple of specific things here. So that's all that I'm going to show you today. What I'd like for you to do is when you get to this page, go right up here to where it says bank accounts and choose the cash on hand. And that's going to get us into our actual list of transactions that have previously been entered. So the two types of transactions that we are going to keep track of during your time in the finance group are just going to be income and expenses. So we're going to keep things very simple. So let's go ahead and get started. Let me show you the first of those two. First one is going to be our income. To enter income, we'll just go over here to new, and we're going to go down here to new customers and sales receipt. Now we do things a little bit differently. We are not going to enter each individual transaction in here. So what I will do is I will get you an actual amount, and that amount is going to be a specific amount of sales done over the period of one day. And that's what we're going to enter. So we're not entering any customer data here. All that we're going to do instead is we're going to do, let's say, in-store. So all of our sales when we operate our store will come from or will be shown as in-store. If we were running our kiosk, our mobile kiosk at, say, a concert or special event, we would choose kiosk. If it were our monthly online sales, we would choose online. And if it were a night of sales at the stadium store, we would choose stadium. For our purposes, we're going to choose in-store. We do not need to worry about putting in an email. We do not need a billing address. I would like for you to update the sales receipt data, or basically the date that the EOP amount was given. And in this case, I'm just going to leave it as is for the purposes of this demonstration. For payment method, you can just choose cash. It really doesn't matter, frankly, but we're just going to go ahead and choose cash because we have to put something in there. Reference number can be left blank, and we are going to deposit this to our cash on hand. And even though it's not technically cash on hand, for the purposes of monitoring this, it's best to leave it at that. For product and service, I believe you can leave that blank. And for description, we're just going to put EOP, which stands for end of the period, and we're going to put in the sales date. And in this case, just because we've already listed the date as 1/24, I'm going to go ahead and put in that information. You can leave the quantity and rate blank, and we'll just go ahead and put in an amount here, $966. Okay, there's no sales tax, so we don't need to add that. We don't need to add any messages. We don't need to add any additional information. We will do each one of these transactions separately. So if I give you multiple EOP dates, you'll enter each one as a separate transaction. And we're going to go ahead and just choose save. The reason why we're not choosing save and send is because we didn't enter a email address above, and so that would prompt us to do that, and that's not something that we're going to do. So we're just going to go ahead and choose Save. You can see that the sales receipt was saved. We can now close this, and you'll see it pop up here in our in-store sales. Okay, so anytime we enter sales information, that's how we'll do it. We'll go to New, and we'll do New Sales Receipt. For expenses, we'll go up here to go to New, and we will do a New Vendor Expense. And in this case, what we need to do is we need to have that data available again. In this case, we do choose the organization who we purchased it from. Now I have one pulled up here to show you, and you can see in this case the PO or purchase order was to a company called Bankers Advertising Company. Okay. That information is not in here yet, so we need to add it. Otherwise, they would be listed here. So we're just going to go to Add New real quick. We are just going to put in Bankers Advertising. They are a vendor, and we're just going to go ahead and save this. This is going to come out of the same cash on hand account that we previously were using. We'll go ahead and use today's payment date. The payment method, go ahead and choose purchase order in this case. However, if we used a credit card, we would choose that. Typically, it's going to be one or the other for most of our expenses. In this case, the category is inventory, so we'll have to scroll down here and find inventory. Of course, inventory is anything that we are selling or reselling. And in this case, we purchased custom beanies. Okay, we'll take a look at our invoice and see what it was. You can see that we actually have 4 different beanies, and technically you could list each one of them separately, but again, for our purposes, we really are just interested in maintaining a balance with QuickBooks. So if I scroll down, here's my amount, $1307.28. And I'll put that amount over here. Okay, again, we don't have an address to send this to, so when we are ready to, we're just going to click Save. And again, just as a reminder, we don't have to add a memo unless it's something that I prompt you to otherwise include. You can leave it blank. We could potentially include an attachment or the actual invoice slash purchase order if we wanted to. Another option would be, and how some students have done this instead of doing one line, is they have done 4 different lines, and all of those lines, each one of them is being used to show each one of these items. For this example's purposes, I'm not going to include all 4, but that's an option that you could choose if you want to be a little bit more detailed. But again, we've got our amount in here. We have added a new expense now, and we're ready to save this. And that expense has been saved. We can again close this, and we can see our list of transactions. And you can see here on 124, we have included the expense to Bankers Advertising for $1307, and we have included the sales receipt of $966. Also on 124 for a new balance of $11,273.27. That is now our actual account balance. This is not exactly what our account balance is because again, this is an estimation. These are the major expenses that we have, and they are only estimations. This does not always going to include things like receipts from returns. We haven't gotten to the point where we update these things yet. So this is not a true reflection of how much is in our actual bank account, but it is an opportunity for us to see approximately how much we have, and we update this typically at the beginning of every school year to make sure that it's in line with the actual account and we start fresh. So that's a quick look at QuickBooks for the finance group. And if you have any questions, obviously talk to me, but certainly refer back to this and watch this video again if you get stuck trying to enter a transaction or a excuse me, an expense or a sales receipt. So thanks for watching. Hope that helped. See you soon.